Good morning. I've set a couple of sugar water feeders out here for the bees. The drought we're having and the lack of rain, plus the summer dearth has started. A dearth is when the summer starts and the flowers that bloomed in the spring and things have passed off, the blooms have gone, and there's fewer flowers for them to gather nectar from. And we call it a dearth. And it usually runs through the summer into the fall when the fall plantings, your fall flowers come up, things like that. So what we do, and especially since there's a severe drought in this area here, I've mixed up some feeders. And these feeders contain a mixture of 1 cup of sugar to 1 cup of water, which is called a 1-to-1 mix. There is a 2-to-1 mix where I mix 2 cups of sugar to 1 cup of water for the winter time. But being summer, this is a supplemental food, plus the fact it gives them water as well as the ability to make the nectar from the sugar-water combination. Hopefully, the bees will locate this and find themselves the sugar before the ants take it over. While I'm here, that yellow flower you see is goldenrod. And in back of me is some goldenrod. Goldenrod has some nectar, but it's mostly pollen. We're in the dearth, like I said, but there's still some flowers out that they can gather a little bit of pollen. There is some clover a little bit. There's some purple lupus that's around the edges of water usually, and things like that. And lupus is really great. It produces really sweet honey. And if you saw my hive the day we spent at Melissa's top bar, she's surrounded by it. So she's going to have some superb honey from that. But basically, it looks like I'm going to have to come back and suit up and put the bottles inside. So we'll do that in another video because these ants are starting to get into it. And we'll go from there. Okay, I've decided I'd come back today and put those feeders in. Not a good day to be doing this, but I'm getting too many ants and the yellow jackets, so I'm going to go in and do this. I'm not fully suited up. I should be, or just have jeans on, but I'm not going to be in there long. They're not going to be happy because, like I said earlier, opening hives up on this kind of a day, there's a lot more bees and they're a little touchier. But where I'm just going in to set these feeders in, I'm going to be working real quickly. Hopefully I won't get stung. If you see me dance around, they found my legs. Yeah, they're not happy. They're already all over my vest. They're pretty docile, I'm surprised. But then again, I haven't moved any of these combs. If I started messing with these combs, I'd have a lot of bees that would totally not be happy with me. I had to remove 2 frames to make room for those feeders. But other than that, everything's going smoothly. Those feeders are now inside. No ants, no yellow jackets can get them. The bees will find them and we'll be golden. This is the top cover. It's vented so that the bees can draw air up through the hive and help cool it. And my ladies have been pretty good. They didn't get all upset, but if I were to try to pry those combs apart and do an inspection, I would have had a nasty day of it because there's a lot of bees in there today. So we'll come back and check these feeders in a few days, make sure they're still full. A little crooked. That worked a little better. And that's it. Now those feeders are in there. Won't be any ants, yellow jackets, or other bees to get in there and disturb the hive. Now earlier, I'd talked a little about when we were doing a video of Melissa at her top bar. Difference with the top bar hive being that we don't have the use of man-made frames. This is a long box hive. It's a custom box. There's a lot of beekeepers are just getting used to them again. Most people are used to the standard hives, which are the square boxes all stacked one on top of the other. They're called Langstroth. They're full of these type of man-made frames. They're wood or plastic. They have a plastic insert that if he can, I'll walk close because zooming in I don't think will let you see the foundation in it. But if you look, it's a black plastic foundation that's got the little honeycomb size, what the bees naturally make their honeycomb to look like, imprinted into the plastic. You take this plastic and you coat it with beeswax. Gives them something to work from. The bees will draw a comb on this, put their honey in it, and cap it. You take a decapping knife, you scrape the little cap off, you put this in an extruder, and spin it around, and you'll get your honey. This type of system is called a Langstroth. It's designed to produce honey. The top bar, I showed you Melissa's top bar. Well, this is the top bar that goes with the Langstroth, or the long box that I now have set up, that's made a little different. This top bar is designed to match the Langstroth with. So I can take this bar, place it in that long box, and now I have a top bar. Melissa's top bar, you notice, had a wooden center strip. It was triangular shaped. They also come with a square wooden strip in them, or people just take wax and beat it in. But these have a groove in them. What I will do when I'm ready to use these is I will fill this groove with melted old honeycomb wax that I get from when I clean off the hives and things, and I will pour it inside the groove so that it comes up over the top and gives the bees a start to where they'll build their comb. Then I'll take this top bar, I'll place it in my long box, and I've now not only got a Langstroth, I've got a top bar hive. Now the top bar hive, if you remember, they build an all-natural comb. They build a wax, they build a whole comb. And it's quite interesting. But you do not get as much honey. But you get an awful lot of wax. And wax and honey, people like to buy the cut cubes, and it goes for twice the price as regular honey because people like to buy the fresh honey in a little package right in the honeycomb. Or you can take and you process it different. You cut your honeycomb off of this bar. You'll have the big honeycomb full of honey and all the wax. You take and put them in a mesh bag in a strainer type, and you just mash all the comb. You just squash everything and let the honey drain out through it like a mesh cloth bag, cheesecloth mesh bag. You let the honey drain through that cheesecloth into a bucket so that you're filtering out all the little parts that might be in the comb, and you'll have all your honey. Then, after you get through mashing the honey out, you'll have wax with still a little bit of honey that you can take and make lip balms, candles, a lot of things. So I can basically get another income from selling the wax, the honey and the wax comb, which goes for more than just your pure honey. Or I can take this when I want my honey, and I can get a lot of honey production. So I can make that hive into two hives of a different type at one to get the advantages of the top bar and the advantages of the Langstroth. So that's why a long box is becoming popular. Thank you. We came out, like I said, I didn't want the ants in there and the bees, so I suited up, came out real quick, put the feeders inside. That hive's good for about 3 or 4 days. We'll come back out, check, see how the feeders are full. Okay, while I was out checking the feeders on the long box, I've decided to check my swarm trap. That's a swarm trap for trapping wild swarms of bees. It's going to be out here next week and close that up. The swarming season is usually early spring, early summer, but we've left them out a little bit longer this year because of the heat and the unusual weather we've been having. We caught a fairly large swarm in the other swarm trap, which was down by the 2 hives I have, and we've taken that down, and we have that swarm. We've taken it and moved it into regular hive boxes, and we're letting them grow stronger in there. Next spring we'll split that hive, and the other beekeeper and I that caught the swarm will take and have 2 hives out of that, basically. But that box basically is built to, I'm going to say, roughly the dimensions of a 15-quart cooler. Bees prefer a certain amount of size they look for when they go looking for new nest sites. And a swarm comes from when a hive like that, or my other hive, or a hive that's in the wild, gets too big for the hive. The old queen will take up to 70% of her workers and leave that hive. And the hive they leave behind will have some queen cells, which are special cells that have eggs in them that have been specifically fed the royal jelly that we talked about before to make queens. The old queen will take up to 70% of the workers, maybe more, I'm not really sure, but they take quite a good chunk of the workers and things, and they leave that hive. And the old hive will now be full of basically younger nurser bees, some foragers, and some guards. They don't take all the older experienced bees, and a new queen will hatch and take over that hive, and they'll start over as a fresh young new hive. The old queen will go out, and you've seen on TV, I'm sure, swarms of bees up in the trees in a big clump and things. That's the swarm, and the queen is in the center of that. They'll leave the old hive, fly about 40 feet up into a tree or so, and form a large ball. From there, they'll send out scout bees. Those scout bees' job is to go out and locate a new hive. Well, those swarm boxes imitate an opening in a tree or log, and hopefully the scout bees will find them. We help them by putting in old comb from like an old hive, some scent that imitates queen pheromone, and things like that, and we scent the inside of that box and leave them there. The scout bees are looking around, they come up, they find that box, they'll go in, they'll have the scent there from the old queen that sometimes is on the old comb that's in there, plus the fresh scent that we've added to it. They'll look around, they'll say, hey, this is pretty good. It's got old comb in it, smells like a beehive, it's big enough. They'll fly back to the swarm. They'll do a little waggle dance telling the swarm, hey, we found this, we found that. And believe it or not, after a certain number of scouts come back on that same location, that's when the hive pretty much decides, okay, this is a good spot to go, and they'll come in. I wish I had taken videos earlier, but this videoing is new to us, that of the swarm trap that we caught the other swarm in, because the first day we noticed that there was activity, which was the scouts. Later that afternoon we came back, and that swarm trap was just literally covered in bees. The swarm was so big that it took them almost the rest of the afternoon for all the bees to go in and get set up. Later that evening we came out, we closed down the entrance holes, trapping them inside, took the swarm box down, brought it over to the other apiary, and bees, when you move them, will find their way back. Basically, within 3 miles, if we were to take that swarm trap and bring it over to my other traps there, they're only about 1.5 miles away, and tried to put them in a new hive without disorienting them, they would eventually end up right back here. So what you got to do if you move a hive, say within 3 miles of where you caught them, or if you move a hive to another location, you've got to pile things in front of them so that when the bees come out, they have to, oh, well, okay, they get confused, they will do their orientation flight and relocate themselves to that new spot. If it's 3 miles or more, and this is just, again, this is just general that beekeepers do. If it's more than 3 miles, they'll come out and be completely disoriented anyway because of the position of the sun and everything. That's why you'll see these beekeepers will bring thousands of hives down to apple orchards or to California, the almond orchards or strawberry orchards. They ship them in on a truck. They just take the hives, set them down, pull the tarp off, the bees all come out in a cloud, and they're like lost. They're totally lost. So the beekeepers don't have to worry about the bees taking off and trying to find their way back home. So once we caught this last swarm, we put it over at Tony's apiary. You haven't met Tony yet. And he is about, maybe 25, 30 miles from here. When we took them out, took the combs out that they'd started and put them into the regular, what most people see as these smaller hives, and closed up the hive and said, okay, it's your new home, they were lost. So we didn't have to worry about losing them. Again, this is the only swarm trap we have left up. There's nothing in it. It's late in the season. We're just going to close this up and leave it there through the winter. Let me go sleep. Okay, we've left our other two hives, or my other long box, and we've come over here to my two hives. This hive here is one I've placed a 1 gallon internal feeder. What I've done is I've added a smaller, what we call a honey super, on top of the brood chamber. And inside there I've placed a 1 gallon sugar feeder that has the same 1-to-1 sugar mix as the 2 little jar feeders I put in the long box. And again, it's inside, it's protected, no other bugs or bees will get at it, and they'll be on their own. So I'm going to pop this top. All I'm going to do is look in here real quick. You should see that the bees are all over this. I'm going to check the fluid level, and we're good to go. Oh yeah, they're in there, they're up here, it's totally empty. So what I'm going to do is take it out, and I'm going to refill this, and I have a bad feeling that this leaked, and I'm not happy about that, but it's still hunting for the sugar. Okay, I filled this up with 1 gallon of the sugar water. And I'm going to place the top on it. Come on, ladies. Leave it alone. I'm going to be placing this in here with this notch to the other side. It'll push the plunger down. And there it goes. Hopefully it'll stop. And you can see they're already headed up and into it. It doesn't take them long at all. They're just flying around me now. They're calm. My ladies are gentle. It does not look like it's leaking, which is to me whoopee happy. And we'll let them do their thing. And this again, they'll go to town in here. They're coming out all over. They love this. And we're golden. Okay, ladies. We'll check this one again in a few days. I'm a little upset. I think the last time I put this in the other day there, it leaked because that whole gallon was gone in about a day, and the bees don't do that. This should take them about, almost a week or 3 days at least to empty that. And that had leaked out and overnight. But again, there's no real harm done because they'll clean that up and use it to their advantage. It's just, it's not good to get the hive all sticky and other things. But what you see going on here is a bee from another hive tried to get in, and they're killing it. They're actually attacking him, and they're killing it. He tried to get in and rob the hive, and it didn't work. There he goes. Oh, nope, he's bound and determined he wants to try it again. But, okay. Well, that's it. We'll come back and check them.